Hello, everybody. We are here. I am sorry about the technical issues that we were having earlier, which means that this isn't a live, but I still have the most wonderful Wendy with me, which is my main thing, because I just wanted to be able to chat with you, Wendy. I know that you do such amazing work, but we'll get to that later. So if you would be happy just to start off by introducing yourself and telling us all, who is Wendy?
Right. Well, I'm Wendy, Wendy Power Stoten. I use my maiden name Power as well because I actually didn't get married till I was 38. So a lot of people in my life just know me as Wendy Power, and that's how they find me. Stoten is my married name, and I got married 20 years ago. And the day after I got married, I moved down to Cornwall, which is where I'm speaking to you from, Marazion, a beautiful part of the country. I feel very blessed. And I'm married and I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old son now. But I originated from London. My mother, actually, my mother said that I was born with itchy feet. And I've always loved traveling and exploring and discovering and setting myself up with real challenges. You know, what don't most people do? Well, I'll give that one a go then. And people, fascinated with people, especially different. So that's actually what I studied at uni. And my first ever job when I left university was to go to Japan. I went for 2 years, ended up there for 4, absolutely loved it. It was a dream come true. And I went as an English business language and skills teacher. So basically TEFL for businessmen. So teaching English as a foreign language. And that gave me the chance to work and live in another country, which is what I've always loved. And I've worked in lots of places around Europe. I was in the Czech Republic as the Velvet Curtain came down, which was very exciting. South America. So yes, it took a while to settle down. and 20 years ago, I came to Cornwall and I've hardly left. So now, rather than my travel-y days of backpacking in between different contracts, where I've traveled around the world a couple of times in various continents, really, I'm still climbing mountains and crossing streams, but they're more of the everyday type of challenges that come up, metaphorically speaking. But I love a good challenge, and I see them all as golden opportunities for growth, whether it's the real mountain or whether it's a metaphorical one. So,
and you've had a nice balance of both then, because you've done the physical mountains and now you're looking at the metaphorical mountains.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, nowadays I do a little bit of training still in cultural awareness training about, helping people that are perhaps working with other cultures or they're going to live in other cultures. But my main work is as an EFT matrix reimprinting practitioner. So, and it's my passion to help people with their mountains and their raging torrent of rivers or blocked up rivers even.
Yeah, which leads us very nicely into the fact that you, towards the beginning of lockdown, set up this amazing service called FAST, Frontline Assistance for Stress and Trauma. So can you tell us a little bit about what led you to set it up and why you thought of creating this service?
Yes, of course. Well, early on in lockdown, I was approached by a friend of mine, a local friend of mine, who had a sister working up in one of the cities, a nurse in the ICU COVID-19 wards, right in the middle of their biggest spike. And this friend asked whether I would help her sister. And her sister was so overwhelmed, she couldn't even speak to start with. But after a really short session of EFT, the results were quite phenomenal. And I went on to help other nurses up there as well, and the results were equally phenomenal. And at the same time, I was being approached by people in Cornwall because we had quite a different situation down here. There was a lot of anticipatory fear, a lot of people going off sick because they were petrified of what was to come. We were seeing what was happening in these wards up country. So I was helping there, and I had one nurse in particular who went back to work after just 2 sessions. She never thought that was possible at all. But of course, with EFT, these are the kind of results we can get, and we get them fast. It's really effective. It's really fast. And I noticed at the same time, in the EFT and matrix reimprinting circles that I belong to, there were quite a lot of practitioners saying that they wanted to help. What could they do to help? And it became a no-brainer. Of course, we needed something that was a more of a formal group, because that lends itself to being more effective. And we needed to have a more formalized structure, maybe a format that we knew was going to work. So all of the work I'd done, I turned into a pilot and came up with a formula that I felt was really worth working. And with this friend who'd asked me, Helen, we set up Fast Together. She did the technical side and I did the practitioner and the client side and various bits in between. I'm on my own with it now, so I'm doing everything. But it's been such a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm just so glad we got it started.
So for anybody who's watching who doesn't know what EFT is, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, EFT, when I started 18 years ago, was considered a therapy that was very weird, but it undeniably worked. And now I think it's being heralded as a cutting edge therapy, which fits so absolutely perfectly in the discoveries that the scientists are coming out with now in quantum science, neuroscience, epigenetics. It is the perfect therapy, and it is so simple. It consists of tapping on various points around your face and your hands, some few points on your body, on the acupressure points, while you focus in on the issue at hand. And what it does is it de-intensifies that emotion. So with the nurses that were going on overwhelm, if I asked them, okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest, what number are you? It was always off the scale, absolutely off the scale. But just even tapping in silence because they weren't able to speak, just reassuring them that it was a safe place. Just by doing this, Robin, the number came right the way down into that 2 or 3 level. When it comes down to that, clarity starts coming in. You start being able to see things clearly again, see them for what they actually are, be able to work out where you're at with it all and get a different perception of things. And it is so self-empowering. You get your self-empowerment back, and really that strength and that confidence to be able to, well, in the case of the nurses at that stage, carry on, go back to work the next day and care for others the way that they want to do.
So caring for the carers and enabling them to go back to doing the job that they want to do, but just feel completely overwhelmed and without the resources in that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think the thing is that we've never experienced anything like this before in our lifetime, and so there are no manuals to go to. But EFT has been such a blessing, I think, because it's such an easy thing to learn as well. And that's another wonderful, wonderful thing. It's so simple. It can be learned as a self-help tool. And a lot of them are saying that, well, I've got one nurse locally that they have their I think they call them their huddles in the morning before they start a shift. And she started bringing EFT into their huddles before they go on shift. And a lot of them have said, so that's preparing them, that's getting the resilience up for what's ahead. And then afterwards, when they come off, it's a wonderful, wonderful de-stressor at the end, just to be able to ground again whatever's happened. So really you don't have to have the therapist with you all the time. Once you've learned these simple tools, you're off to be able to help in whatever the circumstances.
That's what I love about it, that it just uses what you've got, your hands, they're with you always. So all you need to do is, you don't even need to remember the whole of the sequence, do you? You can just do bits of it, whatever you can remember, whatever feels right, trusting your own intuition as well. and just tap.
Yes.
And like you say, bringing that intensity down, dialing it right back, taking you basically from your description, taking you out of fight or flight and into that place where you have the clarity, you have a sense of perspective again, and you have a sense of actually there are things that I can do rather than just I can't.
Completely, absolutely. Yes, you describe it much better than I do.
Not at all. I was just working from what you'd already said. Because yeah, I'm a great fan of EFT, and I've seen how effective it is. And I believe you've had a lot of really good testimonials from a wide range of people in different roles, in different circumstances.
We have indeed, and we're delighted with the results that we've been getting. The results speak for themselves. We've also been collecting data because I really wanted to have something that we could perhaps show people who are decision makers, either in the NHS or other organisations, that it's not just the testimonials of people giving us 100% positive feedback. We've actually got the data to back that up. So we've been collecting that anonymously, of course, because one of the strengths I believe of FAST is that we're not connected to any organisation. We're completely confidential. People know that they can come to us, and it's a safe place that they can come and explore what's going on for themselves. But yes, the testimonials, the feedback, the results that we've collected all show we've proven how effective we are, how efficient we are as well, Robin, because there are no waiting lists on FAST. We've got a wonderful team of practitioners that came forward. I made sure that they were all advanced and trauma trained, because in those early days, the things that I was hearing, there was very high trauma, and there's a lot of PTSD coming out now. So I think we need that trauma experience too. So anyone that comes can rest assured they're in the best possible hands. Yes, if someone comes along, I hope that within 12 hours, 24 hours, I can have matched them up with an available practitioner.
So that's some of the benefits for coming to FAST rather than asking for support from their own organisation, perhaps, because I know that some people might think NHS, surely they've got counselling and support services, but FAST, I believe, offers that quick turnaround. And like you were saying, the confidentiality. So it has its own role.
Well, I think that's it. It definitely does. You're very right. And also a strength is that we're independent. I was trying to get us onto the NHS lists to start with, but it turns out that one of our strengths again is that we're independent. Some people are worried that if they go to in-house offers, that perhaps it's going to go down on their records. Although I don't know about that at all, but that's their worry. And there's no worry about that if they come to FAST.
And I think
so that's another advantage.
I think when you're in that position of feeling I can't work, then it's just another layer to think, if I tell the people at work, my superiors, that I can't work, it's not going to look good. So whether it's the truth or not, if people are feeling that, that's the thing. So if they feel that they'd rather go somewhere that's more independent, that's not attached to work, but get the support quickly, then I think that's amazing that you can provide that.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, definitely.
And also then, can you just tell us a little bit about who is eligible, who can apply to FAST for support?
Right, well, we started off with the frontline NHS workers, but we quickly realised that there was a much broader field of people that needed help. So now we're available for all healthcare and emergency service workers. And as you said before, we've had a wide range of people coming to us, from consultants and anaesthetists and GPs, through to child protection officers, social workers, lots from care homes, from hospices. So a really wide range, and also even on the admin side of the NHS as well, we've had quite a few coming in from there. So anyone that's been impacted by COVID-19, that's what we say. And it doesn't have to be directly, because of course people might have been struggling a little bit beforehand. That's especially true if we're looking at the emergency services, for example, the paramedics. They've been struggling anyway, and then COVID on top of that has just been the straw that breaks. So you know, of course, it doesn't have to be directly COVID related. How could you ever tell that anyway? So we're open to.
And it might not appear to be something, you know, you might yourself think my stress is not COVID related, but the fact that COVID is there is already filling up that stress bucket a little bit more. So anything, family, anything outside of work might not look like it's COVID related, but there's still that capacity that you might have otherwise had has been taken. So you might be reaching the top of your bucket faster, so that you know, it makes the other stuff harder to deal with as well. And can you tell us a little bit about when somebody signs up, what is the offer from FAST? What do you give? So how many sessions?
Well, again, from the pilot, what I worked out as the best sort of formula that seemed to be working, because one of the big things is that everyone is incredibly busy, and their free time, their time off, is incredibly precious. So we don't want to be offering too much that overwhelms people. We say up to 4 sessions, and some are just have 2 sessions, and that's enough for them. They feel that they've got to that stage, they've learned a self-help tool, they feel fine. They can always come back and have those other 2 later on if they would like to. Some take the full 4, some just have 1. It's really flexible. We're absolutely not laying down any hard and fast rules there for that. That's not what we're about. So they can come to us. The first session is an hour, and then after that it's 45 minutes. So fairly short sessions. It's not taking up your whole day with this, although it's nice if we've had a session, if people can then relax a little bit afterwards, if they're able. Yes, that's what they do, and it's between them and a practitioner. Again, we're very flexible. If the practitioner doesn't work out for them, or if their times change, their shifts suddenly change, then we can work with that. Our aim is to be as flexible as possible, because we don't want to add to the stress.
And if somebody is thinking, I would love support, but I'm afraid to start something now, because right in the middle of it all, right in the thick of it, if I start talking about this, it might be too much. What would you say to somebody who felt afraid to approach you because they're afraid that talking about it is going to just bring it all to the fore even more?
Well, this is the wonder of EFT, because that's exactly when you should come. When you can come, you're feeling overwhelmed, you know, you're worried whether you can just carry on, instead of sweeping it under the carpet and hoping for the best. What we do with the EFT is we just allow that to be acknowledged. And it's not just talking. We're not a talking therapy. We're tapping as well. It's the tapping that makes the difference. It's the tapping that's addressing that heightened emotion, that whole fight, flight, freeze response of the amygdala that's being set off, and just calming that whole system down. So we can even work, and I have been working in silence, at least at the beginning, just to take that edge off things, and just to be able to get into that place where things can be seen in a slightly different light. So I would encourage it. As I said, all our practitioners are advanced, they're trauma experienced, so you're in incredibly good hands when you come to FAST.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Wendy, for sharing all of that about such a wonderful service, which is so essential at this time. Particularly, I mean, here in Wales, we're coming towards the end of our 2-week fire break lockdown. And in England, you're just starting a whole 4 weeks worth of new lockdown restrictions. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out, plus watching the news and seeing the statistics that keep being reported on the numbers being admitted and becoming very seriously ill. So I think this is a crucial service that you're offering at this time. And I believe you're hoping then that it will carry on even beyond the pandemic itself.
Well, I think so. I mean, 6 months down the line, we're still here and we're being used more than ever. We also have proven now how effective EFT is, how good we are as an organisation, how efficient we are. And we've had 6 months worth of COVID-19 trauma experience. So we know the kind of things that we can expect, even though we keep very open-minded, we never know what's going to come next. So I feel we're in a really good position for this post-traumatic stress disorder that we're seeing more and more now. And I don't think that's going to go anywhere fast. That is something that if it's being swept under the carpet with healthcare workers, perhaps during their working time, they don't feel in a position, maybe they haven't heard about us, they don't feel in a position to bring that out at the moment, they can't afford to. But later on down the line, we'd still like to be here for those people because we know what a difference it makes. A lot of the feedback that we've been getting, a lot of the testimonials say life-saving and life-changing. And that, well, I know from my 18 experiences those are two comments that come out frequently when you're dealing with EFT. It's getting people to be able to just transform whatever stress and trauma they've been having so that they can just absolutely move on and move forward, maybe even better than before, more resilient, more confident than before. So we really want to carry on helping, and it's we've got lots of ideas, or I've got lots of ideas that I'm putting into practice, and the practitioners are absolutely wonderful about coming up with ideas as well. One of them is to become a provider, perhaps for the emergency services. It seems there's too much of a correlation between their fast response units and us at fast as well. And if we could become providers, I've already spoken to somebody in the ambulance service down here in the southwest, if we could become providers for them, then in actual fact that would give us the resources, a little bit of the resources to be able to then carry on dealing and helping people free of charge. So one of the things we haven't mentioned is that FAST is a free of charge service, and I'm very, very adamant that I want to keep it free of charge for as many as possible, even though we've been dealing from consultants down to healthcare workers. I don't mean down to in terms of the importance of the jobs by any manner of means, but it does reflect in salaries, and a lot of care home workers on minimal wages couldn't afford to have access to EFT otherwise. So I'm really keen that everyone has that chance to get that freedom back from their stress and trauma.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Unfortunately, we're just about to be out of time. So it's been wonderful having you on here. Wonderful that you have shared everything. And I will put some links in as well when I post this to say to people that this service is available, also that it is voluntary, so any donations if anybody felt prompted to give would be amazing. But just lastly to say thank you so much again, Wendy. It has been a delight to have you here and to hear all about FAST and about your travels too. Very exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Robin.
Maybe